to the December regularly scheduled school board meeting. Kim, could you do a roll call for me, please?
Sure. Karen Anderson?
Here.
Tammy Hines?
Here.
John Long?
Here.
Greg Meyer? Not here yet. Scott Middlecamp?
Here.
Greg O'Connor?
Here.
Lisa Schumacher?
Here.
Great. We have a quorum. Now let's go on to item 2, welcome visitors. We have a few folks here from Ameren. And on to public comments. I think we have 3
Yes.
tonight that Dr. Caselli is going to make those calls for us right now. Ask them to state their name and 3 minutes, please.
Hello,
Yes, may I speak with Ms. Fisk, please?
this is Mrs. Fisk.
Hi, this is Courtney Caselli with Columbia Schools at the board meeting. And
Hi, how are you?
Great, and you indicated that you would like to address the board, so I am calling to give you that opportunity. Before you start, I just want to, for our record, you need to state your full name, and I need to make you aware of the 3-minute time limit.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay. Hi, I am Lauren Fisk, and there is just a couple things that I wanted to address tonight. First being the teachers. Just wanted to give them a shout out in how great a job they're doing, with everything going on. It's been crazy, and I just appreciate all their hard work. Second item that I'd also like to address, and it also has to do with the teachers, is I guess the disappointment that I feel over what I'm seeing and their consideration for just their overall health and safety. So not only teachers, but also staff as well. Every day they're putting themselves at risk just to be with our children. And so I'm posing the question to the board that, when are we going to make their health and safety a priority? Every conversation I've heard the board has in the last couple board meetings, they're thinking of the students, which I appreciate. I have 2 children who attend school, and without the teachers though, my kids and all the kids in the district wouldn't find any success. I just can't imagine the stress they're feeling, and that goes along with the principals as well. The heavy amount of letters we're receiving, the phone calls that we're getting for classes being quarantined, late into the evenings. I just want the board to be aware that, yes, it's education, children should come first, but the teachers and staff matter too. And then the last comment I wanted to make was recently, I saw your posting for new remote teaching positions, and was hoping that the board was going to address that tonight and what that means. The kids who are going remote no longer have their current teachers. Who's creating those lesson plans? Who's grading? Who's making all the videos for all those remote kids? If your answer is the teachers, how many tasks are we going to give these teachers? They're already kind of stressed, I can't imagine, and asking really to do 2 jobs in the pay of 1. I can't imagine asking any more from them. On the other hand, if you're asking a newly hired staff, are they going to be qualified to do that job, to do a teacher's job? And then just to remind them that in your return to school plan that's posted on the school website, it does indicate that remote students will be instructed by Columbia teachers. And so I hope that whatever decision going forward, you're including your teachers union in any decisions that are being made, not only for the school district, but for the children as well. And that is all. So I appreciate you guys giving me the time to speak.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yes, may I speak with Mrs. Corey, please?
Yes, this is she.
Hi, Henry, this is Courtney Castelli. I have your name down as someone who would like to address the board this evening.
Yeah, that's right, Courtney.
If you would, just for formality's sake, when you start, if you could state your full name for our board record, and then you have 3 minutes for addressing the board. So whenever you're ready, you have the floor.
Okay, sure, thank you. My name is Andrew McCory, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak and offer my opinion. We currently have a 7th grader and a senior attending in-person hybrid. And my position is that, you know, there's no meaningful replacement for in-person learning Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. And unless you personally have a child at home attempting to learn under the current conditions, you absolutely cannot fully appreciate the impact this is having on students. Despite the extraordinary time and effort being put forth by my personal children's teachers, the kids are struggling daily. I am most worried about the middle school, grades 6 to 8. And, you know, although there are exceptions, the vast majority of kids that age are too immature, undisciplined, and unmotivated to be learning, you know, majorly online. They're not engaged. And I'm going to take some heat from my own 13-year-old son for saying these things, but we are expecting them to learn the same way my 2 college sons were learning. They need the routine of waking up every day, going to school, and sitting face-to-face in a classroom. It's really difficult to create a meaningful relationship with a teacher by seeing him or her in person just 1 hour a week total. And until those kids create a relationship, they don't have any sense of accountability for the quality of work they're doing and usually for the lack of work they're doing. My own middle schooler has never had grades like this before. He's never been unattentive, difficult about school until now. And I can't even begin to describe the level of stress this has caused inside our own home. It's, you know, daily issues of poor grades, missing assignments, technological frustrations. And I guarantee you, our home is not alone. So if 5th grade can be all back at CMS Monday through Friday, you know, right now it's 12:30, then 6th through 8th certainly can as well. That building is designed with wide hallways, separate wings, you know. So, and we're surrounded by schools in our county and even in our own town that are successfully going Monday through Friday, 8 to 3 since August. With regard to my senior, I mean, she's attending classes that have anywhere from 3 to 7 students in her class on days that she attends. And on Wednesdays and Thursdays, there's 1 student physically sitting in her English class. I mean, that's crazy to me. So assuming those numbers would double if the class wasn't split by last name anymore, that is still a very small class. And obviously, they can distance appropriately. No parent that's sending their kids back to school believes they will be 6 feet apart. And we're fine with that. You know, under these circumstances, if the kids are given the option to opt out full time, which so many are, then the remainder of kids should be given the option to opt in. You know, Monday through Friday, maybe initially 8 to 12, but then 8 to 3. And, you know, I know I'm close on time, but I could go on, but I just wanted to share those feelings and you know, and I appreciate so much what the teachers are doing. But anyway, so I appreciate your time and I thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Corey.
Thank you.
Mike. This is a student.
Hello.
May I speak with Jessa, please?
Yeah, this is her.
Hi, Jessa. This is Dr. Castelli. I am calling you from the board meeting. You had emailed me and indicated that you would like to address the board.
Yes.
And so just to give you a little bit of direction, before you start, make sure you say your full name for our records, and then you have 3 minutes to make any comments you wish to make.
Okay, thank you.
All right, go ahead and begin.
So my name is Jessa Giovanetti, and I am a senior at Columbia High School. And first off, I wanted to start by saying, like, to all my teachers that have me in class and are listening to this, please don't act differently towards me because I'm simply just expressing how I feel and how a lot of my other classmates feel. So I wanted to give some quick insight to the board into what most students at the high school are going through. So the students' mental health at the high school is seriously, it's deteriorating. Our days are determined by what assignment is due. We feel as though we aren't working towards anything. It's just the due date that day. Speaking of the seniors, the only thing the seniors are working towards is graduation. And even then, people have stopped caring if we even get a ceremony or not. They're all just kind of done with this year. Everyone wants to leave because we feel as though we have nothing left here for us anymore. We haven't gotten anything special for us done, while everyone still feels bad for the class of 2020. I was talking to my friend the other day, and she mentioned how last year she was going above and beyond on all of her work and all of her assignments, and now she's doing the absolute bare minimum. And I think everyone I know can relate to that. And our teachers are noticing too, as they've addressed it multiple times. Parents are really worried for their all-remote kids because their grades are falling and they don't know what to do. There's no one at home to hold them accountable because they're at work. One of my big points is that I think us students deserve math breaks. Teachers have their plan periods where they get to pull down their masks, while we have to wear them from 7:45 to 12:45 straight. And I have a tendency to pass out, so I do get very dizzy at school, and I know many people do as well. My mom did actually contact the school about this concern and was told that because we're not in school for a full day, we don't need mask breaks, which I believe is extremely unsympathetic and simply not true, because masks do decrease your oxygen levels, and my mom actually did a test where she tested my oxygen, and after 30 seconds with my mask on, my oxygen level had dropped drastically. Another issue is that with us being in school, and I know that some people don't agree with us being in school, I feel like a burden to my staff and my teachers, and I know a lot of other kids feel that way. They feel as though the teachers, because they have to work with the kids in school and at home, they just don't want to work with the kids at home. I feel like when I'm remote, my teachers are only talking to my kids in class. And so I don't think that's fair to me due to the fact that I want to be in school. I don't want to be at home. My last year of high school, I had to spend sitting in my room, not motivated, trying not to let my phone distract me, my sister distract me, or my parents distract me who are working from home. I think that plays a big role into my mental health as well as my other classmates. So I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much, Jessa.
All right, thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
You too.
That's it.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Costello. On to item 3, correspondence. We do have a presentation from Ameren, Illinois.
Okay, where do you want us? All right.
Hello.
I want to block you.
Oh, you're fine.
Get up here in the corner here, so. Well, Jessica, you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Jessica D, and I think we've all met about a year ago at this point. I work with Train. We did that HVAC project this summer, and then this is Larry Irwin. He's with Ameren, Illinois, and we just want to take this opportunity to come congratulate the district on their project this year. You guys received a check for about $187,000 from Ameren a couple weeks ago, which results in 76,000 kilowatt hours and 992,000 pounds of CO2 gas removed from the environment. So this is a great award for your district. We do a lot of these projects, and 187,000 is definitely something to be proud of. So
So the 76,000 is actually the amount of savings you'll have every year on your energy bill from this project. And granted, it was a very large project, so we were more than happy to provide you with this incentive payment. Please don't hesitate to do more projects. That's part of my job. I actually am my company is a contractor. We're the third-party administrator of what used to be called the Akron Energy Program. That's now just called the Ameren, Illinois Energy Efficiency Programs. But we have, if you're an Ameren customer on the residential side, there are things that we can do for you. Certainly on the business side, we love these kind of projects. I have a goal every year, so many kilowatt hours of electric savings, so many therms of gas savings, and I also have a spending target. So as long as we don't color outside the lines, as long as it's legal, I'm more than happy to give away as much of this incentive money for energy efficiency projects. So just wanted to, I don't know, I'm going to present this to somebody. We do need a picture. I've been told I need somebody to take a picture so my folks in Peoria can be happy. So
We have.
Somebody can text it to you as soon as.
Okay, yeah, that works.
all right.
Oh, Kim's got
I'll advance the picture.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, if you can just forward that to us, email it to us, so we can pass it on. So that's yours. Absolutely.
Look at that.
I wish we had another real one to hand to you. I don't blame you for cashing out.
It has been deposited.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of work involved in the district's part and on Jessica's part, so I just kind of sit by the side, waiting for things to happen and help deliver the money. So
I will say I came into this project late in the game, but it was really good working with both of you, so.
Thank you for your patience this year. It's been a year like no other.
yeah, it's crazy times, and so hopefully what money we can provide you is a help.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.
On to the consent agenda.
Yeah. Well, you've got the minutes and all the reports. You will see at your desk regarding personnel, you'll see that we are hiring 3 nurses. That puts us at a nurse at every building at this point. And we'll get that statement. It's been a process getting them. We're excited to see them starting, and so we've got those. You'll also see that under the certified personnel, we've got 2 individuals that we have selected for remote instruction to answer the question on the phone. They are certified teachers. They've got their license, they've got their PBLs, they are going to be Columbia teachers, employees. They're just going to be doing the remote work for the classes that can't really be synchronous. As you can see, we are still looking for 3 more, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and a special ed remote instructor. So we've not been able to fill all of those positions, and that is somewhat cause of concern. But given all those facts and with this knowledge, administration recommends that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are we going to look at hiring remote instructors for the upper grade levels, or are we just concentrating on?
No, just for the ones that have to be asynchronous. The other ones, the remote kids would be logging in and following along synchronously. So really, we're just looking for the grades that we don't feel should be synchronous. It's hard for a kindergartner to follow along during that entire time. So they need to have more asynchronous instruction, so we're separating them teacher for that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. Motion by Craig Rogan.
I'll second.
Second by Tammy Hines. Can you do a roll call vote for me, please, Kim?
Karen Anderson,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
John Long,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Yes.
Greg O'Connor.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Motion carries on to the next item on the agenda, which is communications and administrative reports, principals report. We have enrollment in the packet, principals report. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Deegan, principal at Parkview. I just want to share a few things with you. First, our PTA held their Christmas craft night on December 4th. And talking with Katie Jansen and Jerry Mead, they said it was a huge success. They were outside that evening. It was a cold evening. There was, I believe, 6 adults and 4 middle school students helping out deliver. They prepared over 300 bags of crafts and snacks, and people drove up and they handed them off. And they said it was a great success. A lot of people came and picked up crafts, and on their Facebook page, you can see pictures of students with their crafts, and they look pretty happy. So it's nice for PTA to provide a safe, fun, and free event. Today, our staff and students enjoyed some holiday cheer by participating in a Christmas trivia game over the phone. We called it 12 by 12. At 12 o'clock today, actually all the schools asked a trivia question to staff and students, and the 12th caller to the office with the correct answer won the prize. So they had enjoyed that, had a lot of fun. And at my school, Mrs. Dent's 3rd grade class was the winner. Unfortunately, it may or may not have knocked out our phone system because we had, I think, over 170 phone calls within 5 minutes. So
I'm pretty sure it did.
yes. So kudos to Trent and Ron, our tech guys, for getting us back up and working. So, staff and students, don't forget tomorrow is pajama day. So we get to wear pajamas to school tomorrow. I also wanted to thank parents for keeping their children at home when they're exhibiting symptoms. It's really very important if they're exhibiting any kind of symptoms to keep them at home, just on the safe side. We've seen too many times where somebody has come to school with known symptoms, and even just the smallest thing as a cough can end up being a positive, which in turn quarantines an entire class. So you're talking about sending your kid to school with a symptom can affect over 20 families. So please be considerate of that. On the safe side, just keep them home. Finally, I wanted to let the board and community know that I'm amazed every day at the commitment and dedication of our teachers and staff, who make sure they are providing exceptional education for all of their students, both in person and remote. Teachers are working harder now than they ever have before. They're exhausted, and they do look forward to the Christmas break, like many of us. Even though many of those teachers over this Christmas break are going to be working on new lessons, they're going to be grading late homework assignments, and getting their classrooms ready for the second semester. My staff and I appreciate the numerous emails, cards, and messages of support from parents that recognize all the hard work that we put into this year. It reminds us what we are doing is working. Now, is it working for 100% of the community? No, it's not. But I don't think any plan that we come up with in this pandemic is going to work for 100%. I just wanted to let parents and students know that those letters and emails mean a lot to us. So our teachers are going to find a way to make the next phase of returning to school work. But we want it to be safe, and we want it to work well. So for that to happen, we feel like we do need more time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dugan. Dr. Stelly.
I don't have much to add in the world of curriculum right now. We've been just working on the return to school plans mainly. However, I will say that second semester we are hopeful that we can continue where we left off before COVID started in some way or fashion, so that we don't completely lose sight of that goal. So I've already reached out to the people that were on that committee to see, just to kind of give them a heads up, and if they weren't comfortable, because it's really going to be difficult to do that virtually, being in person, that we can find a replacement. for that. And then I do have one of my members going on maternity leave during that time, so finding a replacement. So that hopefully will start in February-ish. One thing I do want to point out is that we have made the decision that parents can change their selection for how their child is learning, with us, that being remote, in-person, hybrid, depending, at a natural break in the school calendar, which would be a quarter or semester, or whenever we change the plan. So we have a natural break coming up, and I will be sending out an email probably on the 22nd that is asking parents to indicate if they are wishing to change their child's learning setting for the third quarter, so the beginning of second semester. In that email, I will share data that has been requested. I've had numerous parents ask that when I send that out, that I include data related to the number of staff that are positive, have been positive, the number of students, and the number of isolations. So I will put that in there because I feel like they need that information in order to make an informed decision. And then we will ask for that to be, I think, Ms. Johnson and I decided, I think, the 29th of December to get that returned to us by the end of the day so that we can spend the next day updating the system. So that way when the teachers start getting ready and are coming back, they have accurate information on who is going to be in their classrooms. So that will be coming their way. So we definitely need that response if you were planning to change. We only need a response if you want something different. So that'll be coming out, so look for that email. And I think that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Mr. Grody.
We had one FOIA request. I will try and update you on all of those. The CESPA, IEA really, but through CESPA, they asked for the legal fees. That information was given in a timely manner. I would imagine this is just one of those things that IEA has mass produced and districts around all over the place are doing. I also want to say, with that check, it's a nice upgrade that we've done to our facilities. They did the roofs as well just recently, and Eagle View really proved crucial. They went up there and they did more work than they expected they were going to need to do. They did stay within their budget. We only allowed them so much money, but they did do it. And they said that you could just, the insulation you could bring out. They were surprised that we weren't already experiencing leaks, and with the freezing and thawing to come this winter, we probably would have had a lot of issues. So I'm really glad that we were able to get that done ahead of things. And then finally, we're about halfway through the school year. This first semester is almost over. It's amazing to say that. I want to say thanks to everyone who's been patiently waiting with us through this process. This year has not been ideal. It's not been anybody's dream. It's been an unique one. Everyone's had to adapt, and there's been no perfect plan, as Mr. Dugan said. There just isn't a perfect plan. We're trying to do the best that we can for everybody that we can, look at the big picture. But everybody has their own slants, their own interests, their own desires. They're focused in on their area, which is great. We want them focused in on their area, but we need to take a step out and look at the big picture, kindergarten through 12th grade. It's been exhausting. People have been working extremely hard for it. We've had a lot of meetings going through this process. And I just want to thank everybody and say that, let's have a joyous, relaxing holiday, because we just got 3 more days, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So I just want to say thanks to all the parents, all the teachers, everyone out there for everything they've been doing. That's all I have.
Thank you. On to item 8, items for action. Approved early graduation for students. You have 11 students' names within your packet. They have met, I'm looking at Dr. Costello, they've met all the requirements. Mr. Reeves has sent that over to us. And this is normal this time of the year. So the administration recommends the board approve the list as presented. So I would entertain a motion to approve those students. I'll second. Motion by Karen Anderson, second by John Long. Could you do a roll call vote for me, please, Kim?
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
John Long.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Yes.
Greg O'Connor.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Karen Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries, so those students are approved for early graduation. On to item B, approval of the 2020 tax levy adoption. This is something that was presented at the last board meeting.
There were no questions, concerns, or comments brought up by anyone.
Okay. As Mr. Grody said, are there any questions or concerns from the board at this time? Great. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the tax levy as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Lisa Schumacher, second by?
I'll second.
Second by Tammy Hines. Roll call vote for me, please, Kim?
John Long.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Yes.
Greg O'Connor.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Karen Anderson.
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
Great. Motion carries. On to item C, approval to open accounts for deposit with Dietrich Bank.
Yeah, our treasurer, Brad Docher, he's been doing a lot of work looking at what we can do for our best investments. Right now, the investment, as a public entity, we're limited. We can't speculate too much or take too risky of investments. We've got to be pretty conservative. However, he's gone out there and he's looked, and Dietrich Bank can give us a 0.45% versus the 0.08% we're getting currently. So the recommendation is we open with Dietrich Bank. This is nice because it's not even a CD, it's going to be a, so we're not going to be limited on time or anything, so it's really flexible for us, and it's a larger percent increase, but we need to have your approval to have an account with Dietrich Bank.
And for those of you who aren't familiar with Dietrich Bank, they bought, I guess, the Illinois side for First Bank, so they're right there on Main Street, just up the street here. So they're a local bank. Any questions about opening the deposit account for Dietrich Bank? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve Dietrich Bank for direct deposit or district deposits as presented. Motion by Greg O'Connor, second by?
Second.
Second by Karen Anderson. Roll call vote, from, please, Kim?
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Yes.
Greg O'Connor.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Karen Anderson.
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
John Long.
Yes. Great, motion carries. On to item D, the approval of the first reading of board policies. This is updates through press, issue 106. Any questions on the first reading of these board policies? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the first reading of these board policies as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by John Long, second by?
I'll second.
Second by Greg Meyer. Before we take a vote, Kim, I just want to reiterate that this is the first reading and we have an opportunity to read through these and ask and make any changes for the second reading. Almost like a second and next reading. Could you roll call for me, please, Kim?
Scott Middlecamp.
Yes.
Greg O'Connor.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Karen Anderson.
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
John Long.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Okay, great. Motion carries. On to item E, return to school plan. Did you want to walk through that?
Yes. We've talked and looked at, and the key thing that we're trying to do here is to get a more normal school day for our students. We want the 8 to 3. And when I say 8 to 3, that's in very general terms. It'll actually be, 7:50 something to whatever, it's but I'm just going to call it 8 to 3 for general purposes. This plan will allow K to 5 be here every day, 8 to 3, Monday through Thursday. Friday, we'd like it to be 8 to 12:30. Okay. We are going to have to hire some remote teachers who will be certified staff members. They'd be our employees. They'd be working with the grade level teams to ensure that the instruction is right there with everybody else. 6 through 12, getting out of the hybrid, the two things that were really mentioned to us often when we speak with parents is that they want their kids in school every day. They want them to attend school every day. They want them to have to go to school every day. They also would like them to have morning and afternoon positions. Now, there's two ways to go about this. The first one is just to let everybody in, to which the contact tracing and the health department is not wise. The other way is this creative way where we'll have half of our schedule in the morning, from 8 to like around 11. Noon to 3 would be the second half. In the middle, we would let the morning kids go home, and we would pick up the afternoon kids. So on Monday and Tuesday, A kids would be in the morning for their first classes in person, and the B kids would be remote. They would then go home. The B kids would come in to be in person, with the A kids being remote. Wednesday and Thursday, the B kids would be in the morning, A kids remote. And in the afternoon, A kids would be in person, B kids remote. And then Friday would be 8 to 12:30, as it is now, with alternating A or B in and remote. This sidesteps the need to have meals at the schools. It sidesteps a lot of things. We would like to start this on February 16th, as the day after President's Day. There's a few reasons we're picking that date. But right now, on January 4th, and I want to be clear on this, we've not been asked, every time we've ever gone remote, we've been asked by the health department to go remote. We've not been asked to go remote after Christmas. And so, January 4th, we will come back exactly as we are right now. Okay? K-5, 8 to 12:30, 6-12, hybrid, 8 to 12:30. Start that on the 5th. We need to hire our remote teachers. That's why we need to wait for February. We also need to hire lunch supervisors. We've got 2 of our teachers done. We need 3 more. We've been hitting the bushes. We've been contacting schools, and I'm hoping a lot of the December grads haven't gotten around to getting their applications together, and we're going to see an influx here. But we do need to hire those positions. We also want to give them time to get in, be with the team, and really understand the curriculum, look at what they're doing. So February 16th, we give time for that. Once we enact this plan, 6th through 12th will be coming every day, either in the morning or the afternoon. Right now, on Thursday, if a kid gets sick, we don't have to quarantine anybody, because an A kid on Thursday hasn't been at the school for over 24 hours. Them coming every day, we're going to quarantine 6 through 12, probably twice as many as we're quarantining here. We understand this. That's another reason why we want to wait until February. In February, it'll still be cold, but it'll be starting to warm up. We'll be through most of the January and early February cold and flu season. The vaccine will also have had time to work its way into first responders, and hopefully our numbers will start going down. Finally, 8 to 3 is a long time without masks for the little ones, as it was brought up by our student who tested in row 02, which I think is excellent science project there. But it's long for the kindergarten. 8 to 3 is a long time. They're going to need mask breaks. To do that, they have to go outside. We'd like to get past a lot of the really cold weather. And again, I know February is cold. I don't want to wait until March. I'd like to do it in February. And so, it's that balancing. Can we get them in earlier? Can we push it off later? To give with the mask breaks, that's another reason to wait until February. Right now, 8 to 12:30 would continue, as I said. One of the big things that people are saying is they're struggling. The kids are struggling, and we need to give them more help. I can tell you my teachers are struggling as well. They're trying to get the kids that are struggling to attend those hours in the afternoon. They're asking the parents to, and just the kids aren't signing in. They aren't looking up. There needs to be consequences for those kids, in my opinion, but we need that assistance. We need those relationships between the teachers and the parents to try and get together and get those kids to do what needs to be done. Those are really the key reasons. As far as a plan, as I said, this plan gives K-5 here, 8 to 3. It's the foundation. Kindergarten, first, second, third grade. I mean, if you look at long-term issues, I'm not thrilled with the high school struggling and that the high school should be in more. But a high school student at least has those foundations to get the early learning the little ones, I think, is just crucial. And so this plan gets that 8 to 3 in there, I love that. It gets the 6 through 12 at school every day. It has them attending classes in the morning and in the afternoon. It's the most like real school that we can get it, while keeping the meals safe, keeping the contact tracing reasonable. Until we get these masks off and we can go back to business as usual, I don't know where else we would change it. This would be the huge expansion. The good thing about this, taking this big step, instead of trying to implement a bunch of different changes, is we make this change and we probably be set for the rest of the school year, unless somebody tells us we can start having meals with the middle school and we don't have to worry about these masks. I'm optimistic that will happen, but I'm also a realist and I know that those are the difficulties. So, my administration team, we've worked with the teachers, we've had a lot of conversations, we've had a lot of discussions on this. We believe, based on our experiences, this is the best plan. So I'm recommending that we go with this plan on February 16th, 2021.
Can I ask some questions? So on the Friday, the A and the B with alternating back and forth between morning and afternoon, you don't think that's going to be like total confusion? That's a lot, I think, to seem to keep track of. Can you not just make a decision now that A goes morning, B goes afternoon?
On Friday, it'd be alternating days.
I know, but then I know you'd be alternating. So one Friday, say I'm A.
Right, there'd be
I
a
go
calendar
on
that would be set up. So what it would be is the first Friday would be A, and then the next Friday
It just
would be
seems like
B.
a lot, it seems like a lot of confusion to me to have to keep track of.
Yeah, the one thing I can tell you though with the hybrid, there's been, every time we've done this, there's been concerns that the kids or the families won't be able to, that there'll be confusion with the A day and the B day. This is just an adaptation of that. I think we'll set up a calendar and have those all lined out. So.
And then with the kids coming A in the morning, B in the afternoon, I expressed this to you when we spoke, that I've heard that there are a lot of high school kids that have jobs, that are working their jobs, and not necessarily being remote. So do you think that really, if you're an A student and you're only attending school for a few hours, and then you're getting a couple hours off and you're supposed to go home and you're supposed to sign off for the afternoon, that all of these kids are disciplined enough, if their parents are working, that they're going to sign back on to be remote the rest of the day, and not get together as a group of kids, or go to jobs, or just decide that, hey, I attended school this morning, I'm done, I'm good, I can take the rest of the day off.
Yeah, I totally think it'll be done. And this is why. Right now, what we're seeing is they come in 8 to 12:30 and they go through all of their periods. So they've taken all of their classes. In their mind, school's over. All the afternoon, they're supposed to be doing their work and going to the meetings with the office hours with the teachers. It's not a scheduled day. It's too new for them. What we're doing is we're doing only 4 classes. So when they're done in the morning and they go home for lunch, and it's not a couple hours, it's going to be an hour and a half, maybe an hour. We minimize that as much as possible. They're going to have their lunch. It's going to be an extended lunch break. But then they're going to have the whole afternoon classes that are scheduled. And one of the things is that, education's a full-time job. It should be going from 8 to 3. What I like about this plan is they've got commitments to actual classes that they haven't gone with yet in the morning and the afternoon. And so I do believe that the kids will come back and do it. And if they don't, we have truancy procedures that we can go through to get them to do that. Now, the kids aren't going to like this because, again, like you said, they're working jobs. They're going to have to change their hours. But I don't think school should be 8 to 12:30. It's not a half-a-day thing. So I do. I think that the teachers, the students will come in the afternoon because they haven't had their class yet and they know that they have to attend the classes.
No, I'm saying I know that the afternoon ones will come, but I'm just thinking more like the ones that are there in the morning, that they necessarily will go home.
Yeah, no, they have to log in. They have to attend the class. You have to attend remotely or in person. And if you don't, then you're going to be truant, and we'll have to deal with that. Office hours, we don't have the same stick that you can do with the truancy. They have to attend the classes.
Office hours are not a requirement, correct?
Correct.
But attending classes remotely is a requirement.
Yes.
And basically, if they would go in the morning and then not attend in the afternoon, then basically what they're doing is only going every other day to a particular class. And they won't, if they're only going to attend that class every other day, they're not going to cut it.
Well, yeah, they're gonna be written up for truancies.
Well, truancies,
Yeah.
but they're not going to be able to make the grade in the class at all
Right.
if you only go every other day.
How about the bus schedules? Will they be modified at all to accommodate the back and forth?
The April Becker and the bus department has done a wonderful job of doing that. Right now, what it looks like is they're going to be dropping off, and it's going to be very normal to what it normally is. And they're going to be dropping off and picking up at the same time, and having them sit in the front and back.
I also have a few other things. I would like to recommend as well that we bring the 6th through the 8th kids back from the 8 to 3, just like the 5th graders are. And I know that it has been said over and over again that the lunches are the problem. There can be workarounds for this. I mean, lunches can be staggered.
It's not just the lunches.
Every hallway in the middle school has their common area that we use for a lunchroom, along with the cafeteria, along with the lower level that is wasted space we are storing. How much stuff does this district need to store that we cannot open up some of that space? Or why not make juggle the schedules a little bit and you make a standard lunchtime for everybody, like some people have at their jobs, and you eat where you're at. It's like a sack lunch for the rest of the school year to provide that you eat where you're at. You bring in more lunch monitors so that the teacher gets their lunch break.
The issue with the lunches is, the lunches aren't the big issue. But if you do lunches, then you're saying the kids are there all day, right? And so are we gonna have all of them in all day? Or are we gonna go back to them being in all day, while for the A kids on these days and the B kids on those days? We want the kids in every day. The lunches is the middle of the time that'll be the only time missing that's not instruction, okay? The real issue is that in 6th through 8th, it's not departmental, it is departmentalized. In 5th grade and down, everybody's in a self-contained class. And so the movement of those kids, like if you get a kid sick in the 5th grade, you might take down the whole class. Right now, they're really, kindergarten and first, where you have to do more group work and more hands-on stuff, it does take down the whole class. In 5th grade, you don't take down the whole class, but you take out a good portion of it. If you did that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you'd be doing that for every class that they attend. Because when a kid goes home sick, you've got to go to every one of those periods. And so the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, until we can stop quarantining, you can't have them come in all day.
So if we stay like this the rest of the school year, you believe that we're fine with just keeping the kids on the schedules that they're on?
I don't think anybody would say this is ideal, but it does allow the whole day to be instructional. It does allow us to be safe with the quarantining, with the lunches. To bring everybody in 6th through 8th, I think at this point in time would just be dangerous, wrong. It'd be chaotic. It'd be a lot of people being quarantined. I don't think it would be wise. I don't think it would work. I mean, I get the fact that you want it to work. I want it to work. But we've looked at these schedules, and we've looked at what other districts are doing, and we've looked at how it can work for us, and we believe this to be the best plan.
But I mean, I work in Belleville, and there's schools over in Belleville that are going all day long. They've been doing it, and they've not switched to remote.
But when they say that, they're hybrid, or they're taking some hours off on different times. They're not going all day long. It's not the idyllic world that we think pre-COVID.
How would it be different than what ICS is doing, because their 6th, 7th, and 8th are all in? How would that be different? Because the classroom sizes are still similar. And they haven't had big issues.
Their private school.
Do they change classes?
They do.
And they have,
Well, some of the kids do,
right.
But not all.
not all of them.
Ours would be all.
But how would that change it though? Because we're not having a lot of kids go out.
I can talk to Mr. Carr,
Kish.
Kish.
It would just be interesting to be able to compare that, because I'm concerned too with the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, especially on the new schedule, because my 8th grader, I could never trust him to be home alone and log on when he's supposed to. And a lot of these parents are working and they're not able to micromanage their kids during the day, and I think that's.
But right
those
now,
are
they're
still
doing
my
the same
kids.
thing. Right now, they're at home on their remote days, doing the same thing, logging in.
But as a
How is
board-
what they're doing on their remote days any different than what they're gonna need to be doing either in the morning or the afternoon?
Well, it's gonna be all day. I mean, they're gonna have to do their morning routine, have to, hour and a half break, and then be responsible for doing something again with that little break in between versus, okay, mom wakes them up at 8:30, they're done at 12:30, and they're,
What
I
I
don't know, I just think
found
it's
in my
challenging.
experience with children, you set the standard and they will do it. They will do it. It just, right now, what they're gonna have is our consequences of truancy if they don't do it. And so we'll go through that process with them.
but me in 6th grade, I wouldn't even leave my 6th grader home alone.
But then, right now, with the hybrid schedule, you'd still be in the same situation. You need to have some kind of figuring it out. So maybe then you'd
I
have to
guess
have
my
another
point is, there's
figuring
so
it out.
they're so much more immature at that age, 6th, 7th, and 8th. When they get to high school, there's a little bit higher level of maturity. But man, that's a lot for these kids to be responsible for,
Yeah,
rather than
I
being in.
get what you're saying, and what I'm saying is that the next logical step in my mind, after having a lot of discussions, is to move to the morning and the afternoons. I don't see that any different as the kids logging in or not logging in. You know, if the parents aren't there now on the days that they are remote, it's the same situation.
But they're having to be responsible for stuff for just 4 hours right now. And with the new system, it's gonna be all day. That's a big change.
Are you talking about remote kids, fully remote kids?
No, I'm talking about hybrid kids.
So if they're hybrid kids, let me understand what you're saying. So let's pretend that it's your kiddo in 8th grade coming in. So be the A-day person, so that in the morning on a Monday, comes in, so in person, doing that. So they're there with their teacher, whatever, and then ride the bus, pick up whatever, get home, get something, to eat, and then they log in. So they're really having to have that maybe self-motivation or that self-drive or whatever you want to say, or maybe they don't have that and they need the person to be kind of prodding them, but they'll need them for the last 4 hours of it. So it's still, I think, the same duration of if they need additional adult support when they're independent at home, it's still the same amount of time. I just think it's depending on if it's in the morning or the afternoon, because at least half of that day, they're going to be direct face-to-face with the teacher in person for that amount of time, if that makes sense.
Are they going to have longer class periods than with this?
High school will
with
be
this
more
plan? So that-
drastic.
Because right now,
High
if they're
school will.
cramming a whole day into 4 hours versus the whole day spread
High school will
out.
have a more significant change because they have 7-period days, whereas the middle school has 8. So you'll see more of a change at the high school in minutes per class than you will in the middle school. There will be an additional time, but not, or at the middle school, traditionally, the class period is about 44 minutes. With this, it'll be 35-ish, I believe. And at the high school, the morning classes will be around 40-something, and then the afternoon will be 50. So they will see at high school a drastic increase.
I think that this plan will give us an opportunity to get kids back in on a daily basis. And my understanding is, and conversation I've had is, our administrators have put a lot of time and thought into this and a lot of research. It's not just a feel-good plan. And we've got to have some confidence in our administrators' decisions. And by going with this plan and getting it in place, it's going to be much easier to transition to all in as we go down the road and get closer to the end of the school year. And this would be a plan too that we could get into, that we wouldn't be swapping plans in and out. And this might be more of a long-term plan.
Could I recommend that maybe we break this up into parts to vote on it? Because I am totally against the February 16th date. I expressed that to you when I spoke to you. I thought about it more. I'm completely against starting this in February. I told you I'd like to see it start when we come back from school, but I know we can't start it on January 4th. But would you consider like a 2-week period when we come back on the 4th? It takes us to January 18th, which is a holiday. The kids are off on that Friday, the 15th already, starting it in January 19th.
The February is a better date for a few reasons. One, I don't think that we're going to have we're setting up interviews right now for the next teachers. We've got to interview them and select them, and then we want time with them to be with the teachers. There's also 2 remote planning days that are in our calendar already before the February, which gives those remote teachers time to really dive in and work with the teachers. So I know you don't like the February 16th. I can tell you right now that if we do it any earlier, the education's going to suffer. It's not going to be a very good plan. They're going to, it's going to be pushed and rushed, and it's not going to be implemented to the best of its ability. And the teachers are going to work their butts off, and the administrations are going to work their tails off, and everybody's going to do everything they can to try and make it work. But it's just, it's hard to explain what goes into grade level teams and articulation and the creation of getting a new teacher involved with the team and working on this. There's a lot of things going on, and I get the 6 to 8 argument. I don't think that it would be wise, given our school size and our dynamics with what we've got, to do what ICS is doing. As far as the date, it'd be very hard not to do this any sooner.
We also don't have we haven't had a single person apply to do any of our lunches. We've never had lunch monitors at the middle school. It's always been the administration and the support staff, meaning the guidance counselors and social workers, which they would still do that, but that would not be enough. And so we would have to not only hire, if they were to stay in each of their classrooms, I forget how many we're looking at down here, but then there, we haven't had a single person apply to be a lunchroom supervisor, or not even a lunchroom, just lunch supervisor, classroom supervisor, to be able to make that happen. And we have to have that definitely there to make it work.
Where are we advertising?
All over the place. Kim is a guru of getting that out there and recruiting every possible. She makes phone calls, everything. So many of the applications that have come our way have been through her efforts of reaching out to people and making those connections. So we really appreciate that. And so we're hopeful that we can get the remote teachers, because obviously that is important. But the lunch part, it has to happen, and we haven't had anything, and we will have a contract issue if we don't. And obviously nobody wants to go down that path, but we also, it's going to be important for those teachers to have a duty-free lunch. It's not important just because of, whatever, they need that break. In an elementary setting, they don't get the same as the upper grades get. So they need that time to be able to sometimes just go to the bathroom, shoot. So we can't expect them to sit there in their lunches and do that. So we need the time to get the right people in place. I know nobody in here wants to sacrifice the quality of people we have taking care of our children. And we've been very impressed with some of the applicants that we've got. Other ones, they think that they're remoting like from Japan to help us out or something, And we're like, no, this requires you to actually be in our building. These people will be in our building. This isn't a work from home situation. They're going to be part of our team. They are hired. And we need that time. To make light of that, I think is I don't know, not productive.
Any other questions or comments?
I think the plan is a step in the right direction. I don't think it's the end-all be-all
entire school year. I think if we're moving in the right direction, I could get behind it, at least moving. But I do think our biggest problem from the parents that I hear is in that middle school range, where I think those kids they're in the tweens. I think they're the ones that are kind of getting left out. The high school kids seem to be able to adapt a little bit better. The younger kids are getting in person. The middle school, I think, we're just kind of.
There's a lot of foundational things you can at the middle school level too, and those kids are still learning that. I know you guys have put so much time and effort into the plan, and I like most of the plan. I would just like to see 6 through 8 being addressed as well for all day.
I will make the note that that will be the next piece as we continue to move forward and look at options.
I had some conversation with Courtney and said, you know, maybe eventually one of the first phases could be to bring 6th grade back in and, you know, 1 grade level at a time versus all 3 grades dumped in at once. So, you know, there may be stair steps to getting them all back in.
Would that be a possibility, and then have the end date be in the February for the high school kids? And maybe stair-stepping a little bit so it's not all at once and overwhelming?
Yeah, I think right now, what I need to do is wrap my head around what we're doing in February, get that set, and then what we can do is we can start talking about moving from there.
And hopefully numbers will go down and we won't be having as many cases and having all the quarantine issues. If we can get past the quarantine issues, we can get past this.
You know, another thought too, and I do think that this happens at ICS where the teachers may go around to the kids that mostly stay in their room. Like today, I substituted at Parkview, and I had an art cart. And so I went from class to class doing that. And that's maybe what, instead of the kids leaving their classrooms, the teachers go to them in their homeroom class. And that way only the teachers are moving and not the kids.
That may work in 6th grade, but it won't work in 7th and 8th grade. And the reason being is that none of them necessarily have the same scheduled classes.
Okay.
So we could, I mean, that may, however, one of the big concerns that I do have, and not to say that it couldn't be worked around, so when I say that, I don't mean that, but one of the things I want you to consider in this is that we have students who have IUPs who go and get services, and when you have, let's say, the math teacher come around to the cart, and my kid has an IUP in math, so that teacher comes up, that kid has to get up and walk out in front of everybody, and everybody knows where they're going. That, when we talk about self-esteem, when we talk about middle school years, that is a huge concern. And I can empathize because we have a lot of families that choose not to get their child's services because of what they perceive to be the stigma. I know I won't make it a secret that I have a child, you know, who has a disability. Now that's a different scenario, but there are a lot of students who that would be absolutely devastating to be able to do, and it totally calls them out. So that is a concern I have for their well-being for that. And it doesn't work as nicely it doesn't look the same at an elementary school as it does when you start getting into middle school as such. And then when 6th grade, their electives are on a requirement schedule, much like what Eagle or Parkview does. But when they get to the 7th and 8th grade, they have those choices. And I know we've had the conversation about maybe taking those away because we're in a pandemic. But you also need to consider that some of those choices that they take are the A and B classes of technology, Spanish, and German that eventually lead them to get those college credits that we have our program based upon when they get to the high school. And those, I forget what it's called, but they get an award. We get oh my gosh, it's a language award. What's it called?
Seal of Biliteracy.
Thank you. I'm like, I got the dude right here. Come on. So that would be detrimental to that program. We would probably end up losing our high school German program, etc., or it would be drastically affected if we didn't do, because we start that interest and then they jump in and then we can push them to those AP classes. That would be gone. And I think that would not be wise. I understand it's a unique situation, but I think we need to look at a bigger picture sometimes.
The interesting thing for me, and I just had this realization, is, you know, we've said before about the whole teachers move and everything, and we've had a lot of really good ideas that get brought forward, and you start thinking, oh, that could work. And then what happens is, as you have the discussions, you start realizing, oh yeah, that's right, but we don't group our kids all together. you know, and that's one of the things that we're different than ICS, because we've got more kids at a grade level, and so we've got to group them. Some are good at math, some are good at reading, some are good at this, some are good at that, and so the kids don't have the same kids in the classes, and so there are details, and I can just assure you, we have gone through a ton of ideas, and sometimes like when you bring it up, I remember this conversation that we had before, you know, when you brought it up the first time about the teachers moving. I said, oh yeah, okay, yeah, and then, oh yeah, that's right, we don't have the, you know, and so all of these ideas that we're talking about, you know, it's, we say this is the issue, but really it's not just this thing, like lunches being the issue, it's how the lunches interact with the rest of the schedule. The shared staff is another huge thing. You know, why does the middle school and the high school and the elementaries need to work kind of in synchronous? Well, A, because of transportation, but B, we've got staff members that teach at the high school and at the elementaries, you know, band and music, and it just, there's a lot of working parts, and, you know, I'm not saying don't keep questioning and saying, well, why don't we do this and why don't we do that, because I'm looking for all the great ideas. What I'm telling you, though, is we've spent this whole year kind of playing with various options and various ideas, and the smallest little piece of sand can start grinding away the education. We're here for the education of the kids. We want the education to be as good and as great as we can do it. And to get that articulated by the teachers, to get, I mean, they're all working very, very hard, and we're doing a really great job in some really bad situations. It's hard to engage. You know, today I addressed the faculty and the staff. Tammy and Greg, you both were there. And one of the things that they said was, a teacher said, you know, how do I better engage the kid that's remote? You know, because they're still trying to figure that out. And if you look at our stuff, you know, this is a high school teacher saying I need to better engage those remote kids. And if you look at our high school, a bunch of them are remote. They're choosing to go remote because our teachers are engaging them. They are getting what they need. There are kids that are struggling. I'm not saying this is a perfect system for everybody. But even last year, before COVID, I can guarantee you there were kids in our district that struggled. You know, and what we've got to do is find those individuals, pick them up, and move them along. Here, what we're doing is trying to come up with a plan that can work with everybody and all those all those pieces. And we've talked about a lot of different details, and there's for everything that we chase, there is a specific reason why we haven't gone and done that. Because we'd love to see the 6th to 8th graders in as well. You know, it's frustrating, and because you want to do more, but sometimes you say, okay, this is what I've got, this is what's going to work, and you move it forward, and then we'll start working on the next step, the next stages. So
I do like what Karen said, though. Maybe look at 6th grade, get 6th then next, then 7th, and then 8th. And start working on that as soon as possible to get those kids in.
yeah, once you figure out how to do it with 6th grade, though, you're going to know how to do it with 7th and 8th, because those systems are very similar. And so I get that idea of kind of easing into it, but I also get the idea that once you have the solution, why wouldn't you do it with 7th and 8th too?
Well, it sounded like 7th and 8th were a little bit different, though.
Right.
6th would maybe be easy.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, if you did 6th and then,
And 6th are the, you know, they're not as mature, so that would be great to get them in sooner. And
Well, and I think, yeah, I leave that to you all to look at the best ways to implement that. If they're all, if we're at a place we can do them all, just do them all, right? That's, you know, that's down the road right now. We need to look at what we're going to be doing now and going forward and making a decision as far as when we're going to go back in and what plan we're going to take.
And I do want to say that the administration has done a fantastic job, and echo the other comments. You guys have spent hours and hours and hours. And I know parents, especially if you're watching from home, it's easy to sit back and say, you should do this, you should do that. And I said, the logistics of this thing is a nightmare. I'm always one that there has to be a way. I don't want to hear how we can't do it. I want to hear how we can do it. There's always a solution that we need to come up with. And I know there's a lot of frustration during the faculty meeting that I attended today with Tammy and the rest of them. You know, you can hear the frustration in the teachers. They really want to get this done, and they want to do it, but, you know, it's kind of shocked to me too that a lot of them, the sentiment was that our board is not taking in their feelings into consideration. And I personally want to say that, you know, I have the utmost respect and admiration for teachers, and for me, that's the furthest thing to the truth. I want the kids back in school. I think that's what's best for the kids. That's why I view my job here as what's in the best interest of the kids. Just because I push for that doesn't mean that I don't respect the teachers. I don't want them taking unnecessary risks or whatever, but at the same time, we have to focus on the kids. And at the same time too, as board members, you guys all know, we're not just dealing with one group of people, the teachers or the administrators or the public or the kids. We have to take all this into consideration. And I know I have several conversations today with parents and a number of teachers as well that want the kids back. And you know, there's so many different sides to this, and there's no perfect deal. But my goal is that I just wish we would keep pushing in the right direction, even if it's baby steps. I know there's also mentioned some frustration on the number of changes that we have, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in. We have to do these changes. We have to adapt. We have to keep moving. You know, we're shooting at a moving target, and we have to keep moving and adapting. And you know, I just want to. I appreciate everything that everyone's doing. We all have their best interest in mind,
And I think, Greg, you said, you know, keeping the kids best, you know, is the best interest and what's right for the kids. But if we are burning out the staff, burning out the teachers, we're not keeping the best interests of the kids at the front. So we have got to be sure that we are really taking care of the teachers, the staff, the administrators, so that then they are able to take care of and educate those kids. So I think that, you know, if you don't have that good background and basic foundation of a strong staff and a healthy staff, kids just aren't going to be able to learn. So, yeah, keeping the teachers' needs and concerns at the front is very important.
As much as I agree with you, though, education also starts at home. We can't forget about the parents. I mean, the parents are the primary educators of our kids. I mean, teachers are great. You guys are teaching them a lot of things, but it starts at home. We have to work with our kids, and it takes a village.
Any other questions on the plan at this point? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept the plan as the administration recommends, as implementing the plan on February 16th, Tuesday following President's Day. Motion by Greg O'Connor, second by?
I'll second.
Second by Karen Anderson. Any other questions? Can I have a roll call vote for me, please, Kim?
Greg O'Connor.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
No.
Karen Anderson.
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
John Long.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
No.
Scott Middlecamp.
Yes. Motion carries. On to discussion items. I don't believe we have anything at this point. Board President's prerogative. I just want to say, talking about these, going back to school plans, returning to school, whatever we want to call it, I think taking these incremental steps is the way to go. We just keep working towards that end, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll know all that. Is there any executive session? Items for executive session? Okay, so we're going to pass that up. There's no action as a result of closed session since we don't have any. On to the last item on the agenda, adjournment. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by John Long, second by?
I'll second.
Second by Karen Anderson. Roll call vote for me, please, Kim?
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Karen Anderson.
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
John Long.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Yes.
Greg O'Connor.
Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.